Well, hi, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Your Schools. I'm Guy Sconzo, the very proud and blessed superintendent of Humble ISD, and I am grateful that she has come back. My co-host, Carrie Brinson. Carrie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. You guys didn't boot me off after my first show.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. You've got a permanent seat there.
I will try. I will hopefully continue to get better at this.
Oh, you will. You don't need to get better. You're doing just great.
Well, I have to tell you, I've enjoyed this thoroughly.
Oh, good.
Guy and I have had discussions. I am continually impressed with the quality of educators that we have in our district, the wonderful students that we have, the enthusiasm that they bring to the table is amazing. You do good work. You do good work. I'm very proud to be a part of the show, and what's so special is truly I have enjoyed getting to know so many people and proud member of this community.
Well, it's really fun, and Carrie, and you know this, it takes a whole community, and that's really what I meant by saying I feel very blessed. You know, today, first of all, we're going to get to see the talents just span all kinds of areas. So we're going to see some really special athletic talents.
Absolutely.
Some real unique science talents. And you're going to get to introduce everyone to a new administrator on the team.
Yes, wonderful addition to our team. We're glad to have them.
Yeah, we sure are. Very, very lucky. So, stay with Carrie and I. We'll be right back and we'll get things underway. Well, thanks for staying with us, and Carrie, this is our board segment.
It's our board segment.
Yeah, which I'm really grateful that this year we're doing this, and really have to credit our current board president, Robert Scarfo, for coming up with the idea, because our trustees really get involved in lots of hands-on kinds of ways. You know, even though their position is completely voluntary, and they're very giving of their time, as it relates to governance, in particular, they get involved in board committees. And so board committees really help, I think, in more direct ways, guide the district throughout the school year. So this morning, what we're going to talk about is the Board Legislative Committee. And we're joined by our board president, Robert Scarfo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robert. And thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
And the chairperson of the Board Legislative Committee, Heath Rushing. Heath, good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Well, our pleasure.
Glad you could join us.
So, the bad news. The legislature goes back in session.
I know. What's that thing they should meet every 160 years for 2 days?
That's it. That's it. Gosh, it's scary. We think alike. You're absolutely right. But they are going back in session really just a couple of months away. Before you know it, it'll be all happening. And Robert, let me start with you. So, from the perspective of everyone in Humble ISD, you know, all of our residents, our community members, why is it important to be aware of and to try to do something about what happens in Austin every 2 years?
Well, I think it's important because of the great impact it has on so many aspects of our lives. And for us, obviously, we're talking education here. And the more people know, the more they can do and get engaged. And I'll tell you, that was really my specific reason for asking Mr. Rushing to chair the committee this year. I did it back, I think it was 2011.
That's right.
And that didn't work out so well for us, did it?
It was
so
a very
I'm not
bad
proud
year.
of that job. So I'm hoping that he's going to do a lot better because we have a little more money this year. But I asked Mr. Rushing to chair it, but he is just great at engaging people. I point to just recently, back, I guess it was November, he chaired the Heart Fund rally at Lone Star College, and I think they had the highest turnout they've ever had. So he's really good at engaging people, so I'm really counting on him with all the things he's going to do to get the community involved, whether it be parents, teachers, business owners, all those folks. So I'm really putting a big load on his shoulders, but I know he's going to be able to do it. So, but that's why it's important, and I'd just like, you know, Heath can kind of talk about some of the specifics he's looking at for this this go-round.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you talked about getting the community involved. So what does Humble ISD do specifically to engage the residents to be a part of this legislative committee?
Sure. As chair of the committee, there's two board members that serve with me, Angela Conrad and Charles Cunningham, and together we will engage the community through what's called a district-wide legislative committee that sort of starts late fall, heads into the spring, right as the session is kicking off, but it really serves as a platform to help educate the community, key stakeholders in the community about what's important as it relates to education and how the community engagement can help us with our message to help influence decisions that are helping in Austin. So a lot of information to be shared this year. We've got a lot of first-time legislators, and so a lot of education of the freshmen and sophomore legislators that are new and still trying to figure things out this year. So we'll be very busy. We'll be very busy.
We sure will, and hopefully very productive in the process as well. So Robert, lots of hot buttons. Not that any legislative session isn't always full of them, but heading the list, funding. So from your perspective, what should we all be aware of and be concerned about?
Well, I think obviously the push to try to have the legislature reinstate what they took away back in when we talked about 2011, because they didn't quite get where they needed to be. And now with the judge's ruling, I think that's going to put a little pressure on them to say, I guess we really need to fix this thing properly. So I hope they will. But some of the things that it seems every session we're fighting the same battles. I mean, again, the high stakes testing, particularly elementary school students. I mean, Mr. Huberty had a great idea in the last session. Unfortunately, it didn't make its way to getting approved, but we're just doing too much in elementary schools. We need to back off. And the other thing, too, and I think Heath would agree, with mandates. We're always fighting these mandates that they put in place and not funding them. You look at and then the allotments, the transportation allotment. The last time they increased that was in the early 80s.
That's correct.
I mean, and you don't have to be an economist to know that the price of fuel has gone up a little bit since the early 80s. And the textbook allotment, I think we only get about half of what we need and now we're moving to the digital world, so it's more expensive. And then the debt allotment to help us pay our sinking fund. And that they haven't increased that either. So I think those are some things we're going to really have to push them to say, look, guys, you need to help us do these things. You want us to do these things, and that's great, but you can't just have us go it alone. It's very difficult. So I think those are going to be some of the focuses.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of moving pieces in this puzzle. Humble ISD is dependent on the state, obviously. If I'm a resident in the community and I want to be involved in this legislative committee, what do I have to do?
Absolutely. So the best place is to stay tuned with the Humble ISD website. We'll keep all of the information on upcoming meetings in late fall, early spring, related to when those meetings will take place. There will also be some press releases in the local papers that are out about when the meetings will occur. And so we just want to encourage everybody in the community to be involved, whether it's a business leader, a parent. It doesn't matter. There's no prerequisitions for coming into this committee. So it's a great way to get first educated and then two, learn how to get involved to help influence decisions.
Right. And our lawmakers listen to their constituents.
They do. They absolutely
really
do.
My first involvement with the district, one of my first prior to becoming elected, was attending the community-based district-wide legislative committee. And the information that was shared there was exceptional. It gave me knowledge that I didn't have prior to. It also gave me a sort of a path or a road to follow in terms of how do I have that influence. And so that's very detailed in how we outline the way that you can have that influence in terms of calling legislators, writing letters, et cetera. And so I found it to be a very rewarding experience and well worth the time and effort.
Well, thank you. And you guys are amazing. I mean, because you were involved long before you got elected as school board members, and it's been immensely helpful. Bottom line, carry to the children. I mean, that's what the focus is all about. So, thank you both again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Carrie's going to get to introduce someone new to the Humble ISD family in just a minute.
Thank you.